I trust you're doing well. So today I'm going to talk about the drought situation in the country and how to tackle it. It pains me a lot to see the same cycle repeating itself year after year after year. You find that the government is increasing, is quick on talking, but less on action. So you see, like last year, they said the unga will cost 50 shillings. Right now, it has risen now again to 100 shillings. People all over Kenya, especially in the northern part of Kenya, in Turkana, they are crying and stating that how can we tackle this drought situation, because they're hungry. And that is why I decided now, let me just go and do a little bit of research and get to understand why is the government lagging behind when it comes to tackling food insecurity situation in the country. So in the year 2003, there was a ministerial meeting in Maputo, and Kenya signed the pact and stated that it's going to allocate 10% of its national budget towards tackling food security situation in the country. So I took a look at the 2018-2019 financial budget. And when you look at that particular budget, you find that the government, the total budget for the country was 3 trillion. And if the government was really serious in tackling this issue of food security, then what it could do is just follow the particular policy document that they signed in 2003, which is allocating 10% of the national budget towards agriculture. So in 2018-2019 financial year, the national budget was 3 trillion. So that means that this particular financial year, the budget should have been 30 billion. But the actual allocation is 16.8 billion. And if this is the case, do you think that it is the citizens who have been responsible for this? That is why I'm calling on youth to engage in agricultural budget advocacy, especially in their various counties. Because you find, like, have you even heard of youth engaging in agricultural budget advocacy, especially addressing their various county governments? Because if this thing is not realized, we are going to repeat the cycle year after year after year. And you know, if you don't put the government into account, nothing is going to happen. We are just going back, we're going to go, the cycle is just going to go round and round and round. The other issue that I'd like also to address, that is also going to tackle this issue of food insecurity, is the aspect of irrigation. So you find, like in Kenya, irrigation land has been underutilized. So you find, like, there is 1.3 million hectares of land that should be irrigated. But actually, as we are speaking, it's only 161,000 hectares of land that is being utilized. And yet you find that the situation has stayed the same. And you remember that the National Draft Irrigation Policy was prepared in 2015. Now we are in 2019, and the situation is still the same. You find that new irrigated land doesn't even surpass the 1% mark every year. And do you know that in every 1 acre of land, it can even create 15 jobs for the youth? And that is why I'm calling on the national government, the county government, and the private sector to allocate land for youth so that they can engage in agriculture. You know, there's this assumption that youth have land, but you know, this is family land. And you know, like, if your parents are there, they're the ones who are irrigating that land. So the issue that is preventing the youth from engaging in agriculture is they don't have that land. And that is why I'm calling on those three entities. They can lease land to youth. Once they lease that land to youth, they can enter into an agreement that 50% of the profit that comes in goes to the youth, and the other 50% goes to the particular organization. So the other issue I would also like to address is that the government can do this by providing resources for the youth in that particular land that they have allocated to them. They can provide seeds that can be used for irrigation. They can provide extension services. They can provide capacity building, and they can also provide produce marketing for it. Every year in Kenya, 1 million youth are graduating from the various universities. And when they're coming out to the market, there is no job. So what do you think these youth are going to do? Some of them are going to engage now in the negative norms that are in the society, like engaging in, even joining maybe terrorist groups, and some can even engage in drugs and various other things. So my solution to this, and this is something that has worked in Egypt. Egypt had the same situation that we are facing in the year 2002. So what did Egypt do? It decided that it has a lot of arid and semi-arid land that is being underutilized. So what they did, they decided that they are going to allocate land now to the youth, and they leased that land to the youth, and the youth started paying through the process that they get from farming in the irrigated land. And do you know that youth unemployment reduced? And now 98% of them are now settled. And the youth are exporting those particular products to Egypt, Italy, and all over Europe. Yes, it is good to acknowledge that the government has created the National Irrigation Plan so as to address now the youth unemployment. But finding the voice of youth in it is really not, it's really not visible. Because they are saying that they are promoting there to be rain-fed. They're promoting there to be promoting small-scale farmers to engage in small-scale farmers to engage in irrigation. But you find that like the small-scale farmers that we are talking about are people who are older. They are not youth. That's why I'm saying just allocate land. Like there is Bura irrigation scheme, there is Mwea irrigation scheme, there's Galana Kalkulalu irrigation scheme. Why don't you allocate pieces of those irrigation schemes to the youth and let them farm it? And let me tell you, just trust the youth. When they're given something, they can deliver, especially when they know that this is something that is going to provide food even for their families. And there is need to transform our thoughts from small scale and rain-fed agriculture to large-scale and irrigation-fed agriculture. I believe those are the solutions that are going to tackle the food insecurity situation in the country. So in summary, what am I saying? I'm saying that the youth should engage in agricultural budget advocacy. Because you find that if you do not raise your voice, if you do not analyze the budget that is being given by the government in the county fiscal strategy paper for every year, now how will you know that the government has allocated this and this amount for agriculture? So participate actively in the public participation forums, analyze the budgets, and by doing so, we will push the government so that they can allocate 10% of the national budget towards agriculture. So thanks for joining me. And for more videos, don't forget to visit my YouTube page. It's called Youth Projects Kenya. Subscribe and click on the notification button so that you can continue getting weekly updates as we address the issues that are tackling youth and also Kenya in general. So thank you, and do have an enjoyable day. Thank you.